Hello. So this past week, I had a terrible kind of a week. I felt like I was in psychosis for a while. I know, what a crazy thing, right? But I had some kind of episode from carbs, I think. Because normally I eat keto, or close to keto. But if I eat a lot of carbs, I go kind of crazy. Like it just feels like I have a episode or something, and I feel better if I don't eat as much carbs. Reason I was eating carbs is because it was Great Lent, and I was trying to see if I could do it, if I could not eat my keto diet and switch to like a Lenten fast diet, and I don't think I'll be able to. Oh shoot. Okay, so um, I want to get my maps to show off actually. But now the cat's here. So, anyways, what I did was I've been studying maps. I studied all the map or the countries of the world, so I could name now 195 out of 195 countries. I think some people say there's like 197 or something, but I just studied from a website where it's like a game. You play, you name the country that comes up, and you try and find it on the map. You try and find what country comes up, and then so I just went through and I did all of the European countries. I actually did all of the U.S. states as well, but I did the European countries, the Asian countries, the African countries, the Americas, and then I did Oceania. And I just memorized all of them, and then I went and I did like the entire map, and I was able to get 195 out of 195 in as many tries. So I was really happy about that, and then I printed out a map, and I did it from memory, and I was able to do it from memory for, I think I missed 4, and I switched to 2 in the wrong spot. Like I mixed up Tonga and Tuvalu. They're 2 islands, or they're island countries in Oceania near Australia, I think. And I think I missed I think I might have forgot about Luxembourg, which is funny because I usually remember it. And I forgot about Guinea-Bissau, which is silly because it's like right above Guinea. And I forgot about... it was one of the other African countries. But yeah, it was a lot of fun studying maps. I might try and do flags next. Flags might not be as much fun, but I'm trying to figure out like what should I study next, you know. So I might do flags. Today I'm feeling kind of good. I do not know why. I almost have no idea why I feel good if I ever do. And obviously you would want to like maximize the reason why you'd feel good, but I never really know why. And maybe it's because I've been taking bromelain and NAC, or an N-acetylcysteine. Is it N-acetylcysteine or N-acetyl-L-cysteine? I forget. But I think it's N-acetylcysteine, and I've been taking both of those because they're supposed to get rid of the spike protein if you took the vaccine. And I'm still confused about what to do about this girl that I'm talking to that's in the States. I'm always surprised when she keeps talking to me. I don't really understand it. But it makes me worried about my life direction too, because the thing is, I think it's kind of a big deal. But I'm also trying to have like a spiritual life direction. So it's very hard. It's very hard to figure out what exactly to do. And if you're a Christian and if you actually read the Bible, it's really harsh. Just saying, like it's really, it's pretty harsh. And that's why people have different readings of the Bible. Because if you were to really like follow it, like what Jesus says, he says sell everything. Okay, who's doing that? How many people are doing that? He says sell everything, give it to the poor. And then he says, in there he also says like don't marry, something like this. And then Paul says that too. Paul, one of the apostles, says don't marry. And if you have to, marry. But yeah, so it's really tough advice in there, to be honest. But I'm trying to like figure it out and have a spiritual life direction. But I was telling this girl I talked to, and she's like a truck driver, so it's very it's very strange. It's honestly kind of a strange situation, but so she's like driving her truck, and I'm talking to her, and I'm telling her like the pinnacle of life is, I think, for the family to go to church. I think that, like, to me, that's the most important thing. And actually, I will tell you, the best part of my week is actually when I'm at church, and specifically the best part of that is when we're singing one specific like verse or phrase in a song, and it's the part where you sing, "Holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, have mercy on us." That is like the best part of the entire week for me, because I don't know, it just feels like it's such a strong moment. It's such a strong thing, and actually it kind of makes me almost feel like I'm gonna cry somehow. But right now, but when I'm in the service, it just feels very good. And it's almost like if I close my eyes and I sing, then I'm almost like not even there, you know? So I don't know how to describe that better, but but yeah, so having a spiritual life direction is really hard, especially in today's world where there's like very little faith. And you almost can't even talk to anybody about this stuff. They're so fucked up. Not to be mean, but it's like these people are insane. If you talk to people, it's like, I know I sound crazy, but I actually think a lot of other people are pretty insane too. I'm not trying to be mean, but... And then there's this whole thing about like mass psychosis or mass formation psychosis and everything. And then if you talk to people, they're so messed up because, I'm not trying to be mean, but they keep repeating this like thing about World War II. It's like, oh, how did the Germans do this? How did everybody go crazy? It's like, dude, you guys are the ones that are crazy. These people, like, they think that the Germans were going crazy. It's like, you guys are going crazy. All these boomers and everything, and the people who buy this stuff. Because the thing is that, like, I'm not a huge Hitler fan, but I do respect a lot of the things that he did for his country. And then now it's like that has thus since been used specifically by Jews as like a sledgehammer or a firewall or something. And the essential point is that from that has stemmed like all white people are terrible, and let's not have any white identity and anything, whatever. And meanwhile, Jews have like the most strong identity, fight like heck so that they can have the most strong identity. Same thing with all these other cultures. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it's crazy. Just the level of gaslighting is crazy that gets used against anyone who's like not with the narrative. I don't know how better to put it, but the narrative generally. But it's not. So, anyways, it's very lonely, I would say. I feel very lonely. I felt pretty lonely over the past week, but and also it's like a spiritual life too. Somehow it kind of feels very lonely, but I feel lonely anyway. And the thing is that most of Gen Z feels lonely. I'm not Gen Z exactly. I'm like on the edge, and actually I more identify as a millennial because I was born in '95. So the kind of cutoff is either 95 or 97. But I've always identified as millennial, but um, I used to think Gen Z were like annoying. Like I used to think um, they were like really annoying. But now I realize um, they are. I don't know. It's kind of a tough thing to say, but they're kind of smarter in a way. Like they are somewhat smarter, but it's partly because yeah, they somehow see through a lot of the BS more than the older generations do. But that's because the older generations had things so good. They grew up in such a time that it was really good, whereas Gen Z grows up in a time everything sucks, um, and it's like everything is foreclosed already on Gen Z, and unless they're connected, unless they work exceedingly hard, unless they inherit something or whatever, it's a lot harder to kind of like squeeze in. It's like a garden that's already full, or like a patch of soil that's already full of like weeds or whatever, and Gen Z are the seeds that are trying to grow up in that, and they're kind of pressed out, wealth wise especially, but um, yeah, also just the social environment and the cultural environment that Gen Z has grown up in. Culture just meaning what's cultivated. So Gen Z and all these young people, like they're kind of, a lot of them are just doing what other people do. Um, like that's what we all sort of do when we're young, and that's kind of what people do in general. But um, yeah, their cultural environment sucks. It's like all online stuff. It's not very normal. It's not very congruent to human flourishing, you could say. But anyways, yeah, it's also hard to talk about this stuff because if you bring it up, basically, I don't know, there's something going on with that. If you bring this stuff up with other people, it's like a tricky subject because if you bring it up, it's just an uncomfortable thing, I guess. I don't know how to put it very well. And you might think like, oh, well, we should talk about it. I actually don't even know about that, to be honest. I agree there needs to be acknowledgement, but sometimes it just doesn't go anywhere, and then that moment of energy is kind of lost and all the ideas around it, and then things just return to normal, and then it's almost like you feel worse. And it's like there's an awkwardness now that you brought it up or whatever. And then, weirdly enough, the remedy or whatever is just like to be having a the remedy of having like a healthy life. Well, that would be the remedy. To have a healthy life, it's like you just kind of need to be doing that, and at some point you can reflect on the other things, but I don't know, it's a tough one to kind of think out of, but anyway, yeah. Oh yeah, okay, so, and then for having a spiritual life, there's also barriers around the, for me at least, what I noticed is that there's barriers around the stigma too, if you talk about religion or spirituality, and there's also a fear of judgment, and for me embarrassment as well, and the last one, which I hate, and I've always suffered from this, is like a fear of feeling like I'm gonna cry, and this is they call it, there's actually a term for this called tearfulness, but yeah, nobody likes feeling that. Okay, so it sucks, but for me, for whatever reason, I get that feeling, and I really hate it. But the embarrassment, though, is because when I was growing up, everybody mocked Christianity, and um, yeah, so it's kind of like an embarrassing thing. Like you got called like a goody good or a goody two shoes or um, something like that, and you'd get made fun of when I was a kid. And then yeah, so just kind of have a fear of judgment around that and stuff. But yeah, it's a tough one. It honestly is. It's a tough one. Um, but there was this woman in church. She I talked to her after the mass, and um, she said that she cried during the service, and I said that's a good, that's good, and she was like okay about it, and I appreciated that. But the thing is that, and she gave me a hug, but um, at one point I felt my eyes stinging during the service, so it's almost like I was about to cry too. But they also used a ton of incense in the service, so it was kind of burning my eyes. But that wasn't the reason I felt the stinging. I felt the stinging because of some sort of like emotional reason, I suppose. But um, when I talk to this woman though, I sometimes I feel so out of it, and it's like 30 seconds later, I think of what I wanted to say, and the whole interaction's over. So I'm like 30 seconds behind sometimes. But this woman's very nice, and she comes up to me kind of often, um, or has talked to me a few times. But she hugged me, and um, uh, I don't know. I don't understand. Is this woman interested or something? But I have zero or very little ability to tell if a woman is interested, and it's always been like that for me. I'm kind of like retarded or autistic or something in that sense, socially, but I don't know. Because there's been other times like that, but um, yeah, she's a nice woman, but yeah. And then the greeter when I came in called me handsome. This was an old man though. It's not. So I appreciated it though. He's a nice man. I really appreciate him. Um, and yeah, so I can't understand social interactions very well. Um, I think COVID has made a lot of us more socially retarded than we already were. But yeah. Another thing too is that sometimes I don't know if I'm being mocked or if it's like just jokes, Because a lot of people will say stuff if it's a nice thing, and they say it with like a slant of like it's a joke slash insult, and I don't know if that's just my perception because that's how it has been when I grew up. Like anytime when someone would call you like, "Oh yeah, he's a beauty" or something like that, they like this is legitimately something people will say in Canada, especially among sports people, like sports guys or whatever. They'll call each other beauties or buttes or whatever, and it's like kind of a joke. It's like kind of a, I don't know how to fully put it, but um, there, it's you're not sure what level of sincerity there is, and a lot of it too is just like uh, I don't know. I don't know how to put it very well. But also when I was younger too, if you would get a compliment, your friends would make fun of you, or people would make fun of you. So I just don't understand jokes and stuff, but or compliments very well. But what I've learned is just say thank you. You know what I mean? um, yeah, and sometimes it can get really toxic though. Some people will like be nice, but they're purposefully being mean. They're like being mean. They're being nice to be mean in a second. This has happened a lot when I was a kid too. So, anyways, the point is that all of this stuff just makes you not able to really trust as much. Um, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I had a good conversation with one of the guys there. That was nice. We were talking about he also watches Nick Fuentes So we were talking about the war in Iran, and we were talking about geography. This guy actually knows his geography very well, also. So I was surprised, but yeah, props to him for that. Um, yeah. I kind of have a fear of making friends or being friends with people because I've had bad experiences in the past. And I know I'm complaining a lot here, but just give me a chance. I think I kind of need to complain a little bit about this. Um, because in the past, um, I had like some friend groups from high school and maintained like into like my mid 20s basically, but and even almost into my late 20s, but uh, they all fell apart though, and I don't exactly know why. I know you lose friends as you get older, and stuff happens, and people's lives change and whatever. But and it's harder to maintain friendships and all of this, I guess. But um, I don't know. I don't think that's a good thing. But um, also, yeah. So and then when you're younger too, um, you everybody lets a lot of things go. Like everybody just kind of is going along and generally wants to maintain friendships and lets things go. But then as people get older, they start to get more picky or become more sticklers or have stronger boundaries generally or something like this, especially if you've been getting burned a lot in your relationships and your friendships and whatever. And then the other thing is too that there's a lot of bad advice online that just kind of tells you to cut everybody off, especially on Reddit. Like I used to use Reddit a lot, and Reddit's super gay. I really do not encourage anybody to use Reddit. There's like very little good stuff on there, but and by gay I mean like it's super like woke, complainy, um, uh, annoying, and I don't know how to really put it, but yeah, very woke on Reddit. But don't recommend that website. And the advice on there, a lot of it is just cut people off too. Um, and yeah, so I'm not too sure. Like a lot of my friendships, they fell apart, but I guess they were kind of toxic in some ways, but in other ways they were kind of good. Like that's the whole thing. Is like um, I don't even know what like a good friendship is supposed to look like or be like. I mean, yeah. So um, it's kind of tricky. It's a tricky one. Um, yeah. So I'm not too sure. Um, Yeah, that's a tough one. But I would say that the core is that there needs to be some sort of like love at the center. Probably that would be the core of being friends. And so with me and my friends, I don't think there was really any love there. Like probably there was, but the thing is that you couldn't say it because then you'd just get called gay. So um, yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah, so you would get made fun of. So it was lots of fun, but there was lots of toxicity as well. And I never really shared too much about my life as well with my friends. Like nothing like that would make me look bad or that I couldn't handle to share. That so I wouldn't share that stuff, and that's actually not really a good thing. Like um, you kind of have to share that stuff. Like, and obviously it's everybody's choice, but in order to kind of like really know someone, I think you have to share, um, uh, yeah, different parts of your life and not just like only certain parts. I guess I don't know how to put that very well. Um, but like yeah, so I never talked about any of like how terrible my home life was, or how things affected me or any of that stuff. So I was just always kind of pretend nothing bothered me. But if you do that, uh, you can get by for a while, but you're sort of like cutting yourself off. It's like you cut yourself off from other people in a sense, because you're cutting off your own feelings. I guess like I was cutting off my own feelings about it because it was too much. It was way too intense. Um, and also the environment was such that if you shared stuff like vulnerable stuff, you would just get made fun of. That's how it felt. So it felt like if you said something vulnerable or something that where you could get attacked, you would get attacked for it. Like people would use it on you later or store it or just kind of like um, yeah, be mean to you about it. But um, so anyway, um, yeah, and the bad thing is though that it left me feeling really like inferior, like kind of like an inferiority complex. I don't know if I'd go that far, but maybe yeah, in some ways because a lot of my friends, like it seemed like their, well, not all of them actually, but it seemed like their families were more normal and their lives were more normal and their parents like had jobs and stuff like that. But so I always kind of like, I guess I don't know about envied, but I kind of like wanted to fit in. So it's the wanting to fit in thing that leaves you feeling kind of like permanently inferior or permanently like no one will accept you because um, you want to fit in. So you're doing things that um, will you think will keep you from being excluded. Um, you want to fit in, so you don't do things that you think will exclude you, but maybe you need to do those things so that you could really connect with people, and be comfortable and relaxed. So, kind of a tough one, honestly, which I never really understood when I was younger, I guess, but or at least I never acted on it. I don't know, but yeah, and sometimes I would even share fake stuff when I was growing up. So I really was a compulsive liar when I was a kid, like very young, and that kind of carried into when I was getting older, and that's a really bad habit. That is a really bad habit among kids, and they get it. Kids will get that from their house environment and from their family environment. They can kind of pick it up at school a bit, but that mostly comes from home environment is compulsive lying. And the reason I did that is because I was like living in fear, like living afraid, and the fear was like social fear, like um, yeah, something like that. And so my instinct was just to lie about things and make everything kind of sound how I thought other people wanted to hear it, especially older people and just everybody in general. Maybe not everybody, but if I felt more comfortable, I would kind of, not lie as much. But the compulsive lying thing is a really bad one. Yeah, so I always had like a fear of telling the truth or a desire, but also a desire to. Um, and I always kind of wondered like what would happen if I did, but I was too afraid to ever really do it. And then the other thing too is like um, sometimes you think that people will like be pressing you to hear the truth or something like this, but a lot of times they don't even care themselves. Like adults and stuff, they don't. It just seems like nobody even really cares. So you can kind of almost say anything. Like not anything, but um, it just seems like the truth is somewhat optional depending on who you're around. What they really care about is almost like the story. They care about the tone and the shape of the story. The facts, it doesn't matter. What really happened? Who really knows? Who really can say? And how you felt is most important. So if you can fake a story about, if you can fake something and be dramatic and stir up emotion in other people, and focus on, you know, something else and learn how to obfuscate and manipulate and all these things, no problem. That's really bad, but that's a lot of what like you kind of, some people get trained to do, and it's a lot of it's not like conscious. It's just, it's what's reinforced, you know, and that is social acceptance, or something along those lines. Yeah, so the fear and possibly the desire is, well, mainly the fear. The fear is to be, is of being condemned or judged, and then when telling the truth, and then the yeah. So judgment and social judgment. That's a common fear, though. I think a lot of people have that, and probably rightly so. Like, we're social creatures, social animals, and yeah. So, but I've been very isolated lately, and I went over to my mom's the other day, I think on Friday, and it was kind of nice. I'm always hesitant to say that because I'm always afraid that of good things, or like when things are going well, because what if they go bad? And so I've been kind of conditioned, you know, if things are going good, you shouldn't feel good because they're about to go bad, and sucks. But yeah, that's why I turn to God, because God is stable and He's good. He's a good stable, like He's a good force that is stable always. And it's really us that, you know, go away and closer to, and away and closer to God. It's not Him that goes away. It's us, you know. But yeah, the way to understand Him is we understand God through fear. You actually have to fear God. We understand Him from through love. You have to love God. Obviously, it's a choice. You have the choice, but yeah, you have to be. We understand Him through obedience. I don't understand everything in the Bible. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, if you say you don't understand everything in the Bible, it feels kind of like you open yourself up to an attack. But do non-believers understand everything about their non-belief? Sometimes they just kind of embrace contradiction and start laughing. It's like, yeah, okay, that's kind of crazy, or that's kind of absurd. And the other thing is, other religions too, a lot of them don't understand everything about their religion as well. But the things in the Bible I don't fully understand is, I don't fully understand how God knows everything, and also sends, how He knows everything, and that we have free will at the same time. That, to me, I have a tough time with that. And I heard it from someone, I think Wes Huff on YouTube. He said that God knew, or no, God sent Judas to betray Jesus. Yeah, so that one's confusing to me. And then the other one is that when it says that God hardened Pharaoh's heart in Exodus, and sometimes God sends the devil, I think, to people. I'm not even 100% sure, but I think the book of Job, I still have to read that one. The book of Job kind of talks about that quite a bit, but I think the ultimate reason, if you want to get to the ultimate reason, and people love the story, so it's kind of like you kill the story if you just jump right to the ultimate reason. But I think the ultimate reason is worship, praise and worship. Like that, I think is the ultimate. That's like the pinnacle or the most important thing. So that's the reason for almost everything, to love God. I think that's why everything exists, actually, is because of love, because you have to have the choice to love God, so therefore you have to have the choice to not love God. So love, the definition of love, to be able to love something, you need to be able to choose to, and you can't be forced to. And so for that reason, I think everything exists, so that we have the option to. Yeah, I think so. Because you might think like, well, why didn't God just make us love him? Because then it wouldn't be love. Yeah, so I think a lot of it is just us getting there, pretty much. Okay. And then the last one is faith. Actually, faith is the first one. We understand God through faith first. Faith is the first one, actually. But faith is kind of a weird one too, because if you love God, then you have faith in him. But faith is assumed at that point. Yeah, Protestants like to freak out over faith. It's like, yes, I agree. We have to have faith. But they always tell you about all the verses where the faith saves somebody, or faith is so important, and just have faith, and faith. But that's because they have a doctrine or a belief called sola fide, faith alone. And so they reject, or they just don't pay attention to, or they minimize, or they weight differently all the verses where Jesus says you have to do good works also. He says that a bunch of times. You actually have to do good things. Your faith is like the tree, and then the fruit is like your works. That's literally a verse somewhere in the Bible too. And you'll know what's a good tree by the fruit it produces. Yeah, faith is the first one, but it is important to do all the other ones too. Fear, love, obedience. But yeah, I like telling the people at church that I love them. I've done that a couple times. It's kind of awkward, I guess, but it's like, what are you going to do? Like, nobody says anything to anybody of substance, you know? So I just have to do it. Nobody says anything, like, seriously. Everyone's so cagey and weird and defensive, and they'll speak to you for forever if you will indulge them, but it's like, what, a therapy session? Like, let's why don't we obey the commandments? You know, that's the first commandment for everyone, to love God and then love your neighbor. Yeah, but I get why people don't say it. We're not living in loving times. Seriously. And I get why people aren't honest also. People aren't honest because of fear. And they're also not honest. It could be fear, but it could also be deals with the devil. There's another reason why people aren't honest or lie. And the devil is the deceiver. So all of the deals with the devil will be deception. And then the other reason why people would lie is also for selfishness, would be another reason, which is in a sense also another deal with the devil, kind of, but that would be like lying to somebody so that you could get a little extra for yourself, or something like this. I don't know, something like that. But people can also lie because they've been deceived, but at that point it's not really a lie, it's just that they're deceived, and they don't realize it. Then you kind of have to think about, well, should they have known? A lot of times, yeah, people kind of should have known, I guess, but sometimes they don't realize they've been deceived. So. Another thing is that I ordered a chew toy, an adult chew toy, or it's called like a sensory toy, or chew or something, but it's because I chew my fingernails, and so it's kind of, honestly, the whole thing's embarrassing, but It's just a thing that you can chew on instead of your fingernails. And I have so much trouble with that because it's like I just do it out of habit. I'm not even really noticing it. And then I notice I'm doing it. It makes me annoyed. And then I try and not do it. And then it's just a bad cycle. But I guess I saw that it's kind of like an OCD habit. I don't know if maybe it is true, but I've never thought of myself as having OCD. But there's also a term for it called onychophagia. So yeah, it's kind of like an anxious habit, I suppose, slash mindless habit. But I do want to stop. I don't like having chewed fingernails. Next week, I have some appointments tomorrow on Monday. Yeah, today is like February 22nd or 23rd or something. Tomorrow is Clean Monday, first day of Lent, Great Lent, and then I have to contact my disability case manager. I'm not looking forward to that at all. Really makes me uncomfortable, but I'll just try and be honest and give them an update and see what they say. The reason I'm nervous about that is because they might kick me off and not send me any more money, but I just have to have faith that I'll be alright. And then I wonder what else I'll do next week. I'd like to go out and try and evangelize more. That is to talk to people about Jesus, but I don't know. I might try. It's kind of hard to. It actually is really hard to be honest. But and then I might try and sell some more things because I'm thinking about my life direction and about all this advice in the Bible. And there's a mass tomorrow night. I would like to go to that. When I was like last week, when I was feeling kind of like I wasn't sure if I was like having a psychotic episode or something, it was like I could not really put myself out there. Like it was really hard to even leave the house. And my house was kind of a mess. And and my thoughts were like kind of crazy. Like I wrote down something, but like I get these really like deep thoughts. And so I wrote it down. I'll read it. And okay, so I said, being respectful and careful when I write this. So this is about God, so trigger warning, I guess. But I just talk about God all the time, but on these vlogs. But so God, who is all good, perfect, the creator of all good things, is ineffable and truly indescribable, and is to whom all praise and glory is to be given. God is, in my experience and thinking and observation, similar to or like a fractal, where the center point is. The outer spirals can go far away from God, and they just die off or lose energy and goodness, and that is death or hell. Thus, staying near to God through fear of Him and utmost love for Him is how to live forever. God is infinite and going to go on forever, so if we want to save our life by clinging to our life and to created things, we will lose it. If we give up our life to God, we return to Him and live forever. And our reward is many times the things that we pursue with earthly goals, because God gives us what we really desire: peace, love, joy, release of sins, and the guilt that we carry. So now that was something I wrote when I was like, I don't know. It kind of made sense just reading it now, at least to me, but I was kind of having a really tough night that night when I wrote that, I think. I would like to go to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu again. I did that once. I would like to do that again. I always worry about my stability like if I'm gonna be able to just be stable, you know. And I think that a lot of stability comes from social interactions too. Okay, so that's everything. Um, Actually, I wrote a couple other things too. One, I was talking about, this is just the idea for a study, like a psychological study that could be run on people. And so this is a study of, I call it narrative attraction or flight among certain groups. So the question is, how likely are you to be drawn toward or pushed away / want to leave a conversation on the following topics? Music, money, religion, politics, dogs, food and restaurants, social media influencers, TikTok, race and IQ, Jews, LGBT, sex and gender differences. And the question at the end is, how much does the approach of the person asking about these topics change your attraction to, or your draw to, or your flight away from the conversation? If they are a male or a female, young or old, if they have a casual tone or a serious tone. How much does the relationship to the person bringing up the topic change your desire to engage or withdraw from the topic, if they are an authority figure, a family member, a friend, a teacher, etc. And it's just a study to investigate chilled speech or free speech, like how much speech people feel comfortable engaging in on different topics, and dialogue engagement and disengagement. And I want to see if people want to talk about these topics, or if they feel pushed away from them. So anyway. And then the last thing I wrote is that this is just another kind of like thought idea. The pain behind pride is like a box with all the pain and fears, traumas, and hurts in it that the person can always move around away from light and pretend it's not there, and run it further away from people. The key to open it is being around a person or being around a person or a being whom they trust, and it opens with tears, lots and lots of tears. Inside of the box are also love, laughter, joy, peace, and the person finally gets a chance to connect with others and with God, and be in mutual presence. Sometimes the only person it feels trusting to open the box to is God. And one way to, quote, prove the existence of God is starting with love. It must be a free will choice, therefore that's why anything exists, so that we have the choice to love. That's why God created us, and that's why the greatest commandment is to love God above all else. So yeah. Anyway, I kind of just restated what I said earlier, but yeah, anyway, that's all. I might read a psalm. I'll read Psalm 1. I haven't read all the Psalms. Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the way of the ungodly, nor abides by the counsel of sinners, nor sits in the company of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law does he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by a stream of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaves fall not off, and whatsoever he begins, he accomplishes. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff, which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not be justified in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.